Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, update. I'd mentioned earlier I was going to be at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo January 31st, and that's still true. I just need to add to that. I'm also going to be there this Friday. Oh, man, my schedule got moved around. I was supposed to be there last Friday and I had to swap out, so I'm going to be there this Friday and next Friday. Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo will be in the exhibit hall. The big area next to Dickies Arena. You can go check out some pygmy goats and then come say hi, maybe kick a tractor, something to that effect. If you have any recommendations on food I need to try there, let me know. I'm only going to be there 2 days, so I'm really only going to get one meal per day, so I don't want to waste it. And the last time I was there, I just kept going back to getting a cup of elote because I was next to the elote stand, and I kind of like that. But just let me know. If there's any secrets of the stock show I need to try out while I'm there. Also, the James Show listener meetup and birthday bash is happening this Tuesday, January 28th at Shaw's Patio. When I say this Tuesday, I mean a week from today. Shaw's Patio in Fort Worth. All you Tarrant County people that fussed at me for having one in Dallas County last month, you better show up next week or I may never come back to Fort Worth again. No, I'm kidding. I've definitely come by. But so we are in the first full day of Trump 2.0, which it brings me so much joy to think that, remember, if they had played by the rules and they hadn't done all the little sketchy things in the 2020 election, we had to stop counting votes in the middle of the night in these 5 swing states. And when we turned the lights back on, we found hundreds of thousands of votes in Team Blue's favor. It's the weirdest thing. He ended up losing all the states that stopped counting votes. What a wild coincidence. If y'all wouldn't have cheated, you'd be done with him by now. He would be gone. You would have the Trump era would be over. Congratulations. You played yourself. Now the Trump era is going to last 12 years instead of 8. You happy? So I'm asking, also, you're on an elevator. The doors open up. You see a bunch of Secret Service guys. And then, what's that? Trump's behind him? Trump's going to get on the elevator with you. He's going to ride up a few floors. You get a chance to talk to the president in an isolated area for about 20 to 30 seconds. What would you like to say to him? He has no choice but to listen to you. I can tell you some things I would say. Number 1, can you balance the budget, please? Number 2, I would say, hey, anyone who lied about the whole COVID thing and ruined economy and schools and my children's lives for a couple years, they need to go to jail. Can you take care of that? But for real, if you do one thing, please balance the budget, Mr. President. Have a good day. There he goes. What would you say? 800-288-9227. This is Greg in Fort Worth. You're on WBAP. What would you tell him?
I'd tell him, look, the IRS is way too intrusive. It's unfair. I have to keep taxes and records all the time. Why don't we go to a flat tax? Better yet, let's go to a consumption tax. I buy a car, I pay tax on it.
Are you basing this on the old Neil Bort's book, The Fair Tax?
I have read it. It's been a while.
Yeah, so that's usually what most people who listen to talk radio mean when they say consumption tax. So I was just confirming that's the road you're going down. I'm a bigger fan of that than the system we have now. But you can imagine, but one of the main headwinds that thing has is every line in the tax code is somebody's baby. It's somebody's loophole. It's somebody's reelection and campaign donations. And that's really the whole point of all these, if you get to decide what counts as a tax write-off and what doesn't, that's something you can go sell to donors and whatnot. So I wish it would happen. I find it really difficult, politically speaking, for a bill like that to pass. And I do like a consumption tax better than what we have now. I do kind of like the idea of a flat tax as well. Doesn't matter if you make $10 or $10 million, you should just pay the same rate. I like the idea of that, but also like the idea of, up until like 1913, we didn't have any of that. We didn't have an income tax. We didn't have a fair tax. We didn't have all that. And we still had roads and bridges and trains and an army and schools. And I really don't think we need either.
Well, the way that I think I remember reading about it and studying on it, the tax all came about as a 1% victory tax right after World War I. As soon as we paid back everybody, then it went away. Guess what? It did not go away, and now it's growing legs and tentacles that we can't even control anymore.
No! It is the classic slippery slope argument because that first year it was aimed at the top 1% of income earners, and by the time World War I was over, 70% of us were paying it. So these are all great points, sir. Well, I'm glad you've read up before you called the show. Thank you, Greg.
Well, lastly, if everybody, and I mean everybody, corporate down to almost low income, would just pay 5%, we would recover all that we've lost, pay off our national debt within 5 years if everybody paid 5 to 7%.
That sounds like it could be true. I hadn't looked into that. That's interesting, Greg. Thank you very much, sir. Because he's probably right. The bottom 40 whatever percent that pays nothing in income tax, I know they're poorer than the rest of us and it's a harder hit on them. But when you're talking about half the people working, if you got anything from these people, just the sheer volume, it would grow exponentially because there's millions of these people. That sounds like a solid maybe. All right, what do you think? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Really, if I could ask Trump for one thing and have him grant it to me, I don't know. It would either be balance the budget or let us see the Epstein list. And I really don't know which one I think is more important. What do you think? 800-288-9227. Now, coming up next, your mind might get blown right across the windshield. There's a new court case on nicotine, and I read through the details of this, and now I'm scratching my head thinking, I'm not sure if nicotine is a drug or if it's a nutrient. A nutrient? Yeah, like nicotine might be good for you? Don't listen to me. I know it sounds weird. Dr. Brian Ardis is going to come on in about 6 minutes and explain, and he's actually a doctor. I think he's going to be wearing a white lab coat and everything. Is nicotine a nutrient? That's coming up. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. If you're just joining us, we're going through an exercise here. I want you to imagine you're at the Omni Hotel downtown. You get on an elevator. So you go up, and then at the next floor, door opens up. Oh, my goodness. All these Secret Service agents get in, and there's Donald Trump, and he's going to ride with you up a couple floors. And you have about 30 seconds to talk to him. He's about to start Trump 2.0, get a bunch of things done. He's got all the political capital in his pocket. What would you tell President Trump if you had a 30-second elevator ride with him? Because this is all the time you have. See? Out of time. Now they rush him out of there. He walks down the hall. You'll never see him again. What would you tell him? 800-288-9227. This is Brooke in Frisco. You're on WBAP. What would you tell him?
Hi. I would say President Trump is the NESARA-GESARA Act going to be finally put into motion. And can we please do away with property taxes and all income taxes?
What was the first act?
NESARA-GESARA.
I don't know what that is. Share with me.
It was an act that was supposed to be announced when Bush was president, and Bill Clinton actually signed it into office, but it never got. I can't think of the word. It never actually, the towers and everything, that was to distract it from being enacted.
All right, what is this act? I need to know what this is. You have me curious.
What it does away with property taxes, income taxes, and it gives. I think part of it is supposed to give money back to the people. Forgive all mortgage loans. Forgive everything any kind of loans that was high interest and usury and things of that nature.
All right, I'm going to have to look into that.
I'm not that good at explaining stuff.
Well, yeah, but listen,
look it up.
Brooke, you get credit because there's not a whole lot of callers who can call in and bring up an act that I haven't had to talk about in talk radio over the last 22 years. I think this is the rare stumping. This is a full 7 points, Garrett. This counts as like a touchdown. You get points for that, Brooke. You gave me something to Google. You know something I don't, and that doesn't happen very much, so I'm impressed. Thank you. Dang it, now I have to go do some reading. I was just going to play Madden when I got home. Now I got homework. Let's go to Brian. Brian in Carrollton, you're on an elevator with Donald Trump. You got 30 seconds. What do you tell him, sir?
Hey, President Trump. There are two protectionist policies that I'd like to mention to you. The first one is reforming the H-1B visa process. We're losing white-collar jobs in this country at a rate never seen before. in the middle of this fourth industrial revolution. That's for two reasons. One is irreversible through AI. Two is reversible through H-1B visas that have been going on for 2 decades, and we should have a labor force that's sufficient enough to rely on itself at this point. The other is Title IX reform in the spirit of equity for male college athletes that don't play football. I would like to see an equal number of scholarships available to men and women for sports outside of football. Privatize it, whatever you've got to do. But it should be unacceptable that a men's sport has only as many scholarship opportunities D1 through D3 as women have for D1.
See, now you're getting in the weeds on something that I do know about. So Title IX says you can't have more scholarships for boys than girls, even if there's more boys that want to play sports in college than women. And that really flattens out the rest of men's sports besides the big three, basketball, football, and baseball. Because you ever wonder why or did you even notice that the University of Texas at Austin doesn't have a men's soccer team? Did you know that? It's a school of 55,000 students. They don't have 11 guys that can play soccer. Texas A&M, the Aggies, they don't have a D1 men's soccer team. Why? Because they can't add it. They can't add it because they don't have the women's sports to offset it. So if you want to know why we stink at the World Cup and soccer doesn't catch on, it's because Title IX has crushed it. And the dreams and hopes and ambitions of thousands, tens of thousands of young aspiring soccer players in America get squished in the name of gender equality. Thanks, guys. Thank you for helping so much. Coming up next, we'll continue taking calls on what would you tell Trump if you had a 30-second elevator pitch. And my next guest is going to be an immigration attorney to talk about how they're already pivoting with all the executive orders that happened yesterday. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. You know, you guys have done a lot better than I give you credit for on this one. This is one of the bits that I've done where I've gotten some of the most thought out answers. And it's a pretty simple premise. You're at the Omni Hotel downtown. You get in an elevator, you go up, and then, oh man, it stops on the next floor. So the elevator doors open up, and then some Secret Service guys get in, and Trump's with them. Oh, my goodness. You're going to get the 30-second elevator ride here with Trump. He's a captive audience. What do you tell him? Do you tell him about a policy initiative? Do you say thank you for XYZ, or you need to pardon so-and-so, or you need to legalize drugs, or we need to bring back Lassie? I don't know what you do. What do you tell him? You've got some really good answers here. Like I got one. Oh, there he goes. Time to get off. Good to see you, Mr. President. Best of luck in your second non-consecutive term here. Victoria said on Facebook, she says, 30 seconds with Trump and elevator, make nurses get free health care. Well, if you work at a restaurant, you get free food, whether you're supposed to or not. Yeah, I kind of feel like, don't you already sort of get that? Don't you, like, if you work next to a doctor all day, can't you just be like, hey, bro, my elbow hurts. Can you look at this? I think you already get a lot of free health care. But I get what you're saying. Anyway, she continues. She says, teachers, first responders, firemen, etc., all get discounts everywhere for everything, but nurses get absolutely no recognition for what we do for our communities. What a way to give back to them. Just my thoughts. Yeah, we got to cut off the freebie somewhere, or the discounts, I should say, somewhere. And it seems to be like if you're a nurse that gets in a vehicle and coasts to an emergency situation, you're a first responder now, but it's almost the same job. And so paramedics, I guess if you were more mobile, I guess you get more discounts, because, and you're right. That's not fair. Police who go respond to calls, or firefighters who respond to calls, yeah, they put themselves in dangers. But the cops that just work back at the station, and the firefighters that don't go on calls and work back at the administration building, don't they get the discounts too? I'm kind of a hard-hearted butthead sometimes, but I think Victoria might be onto something. All right, what would you say? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Let's ask Jeff in Dallas. You're on WBAP. What would you tell Trump if you had 30 seconds in an elevator?
Well, here's the thing. He's right about the manufacturing jobs, but there's a portal that he's missed, okay? And that is jobs that are done on the World Wide Web, okay? And over the past many decades, okay, a lot of the big companies, Microsoft and a lot of the software companies have been hiring software developers in India, in China, Indonesia, Singapore, Australia, to do our work. And what that does, that sends millions and millions of dollars overseas. It doesn't do anything for our economy. It just causes the middle class to drop out. So we need to find some way to either put a tariff on foreign software development, or somehow restrict internet usage only to e-commerce to these countries, so foreign software developers don't take our jobs over the internet.
Well, okay? I think generally speaking, you're half right. We can get value for the American economy by outsourcing some of our, tech stuff, just like, we make T-shirts in some sweatshop in Indonesia, because if we made them in Mesquite, they'd be twice as expensive. So there are some businesses that wouldn't even exist if T-shirts weren't so cheap. And just like that, there are some tech companies, especially startups, that wouldn't exist if they didn't have access to that cheap talent pool. Now, the other part where you're totally correct is it does offset some aspiring tech people here in the United States, but it's not a zero-sum game. Some of these people are just growing the pie for everyone, and we probably do lose a little bit of money from that gets sent overseas, but we probably gain more money by having the businesses and the higher jobs that do. When I say hire, I mean the people that hire the overseas workers. Those guys get paid more than the overseas workers. So if we get rid of their business model, does their job go away? Do all these entrepreneurs and these businesses, do they go away, or does it become more expensive for the rest of us? And if we have to pay twice as much for every T-shirt, then that's the less money we have to.
Let me talk real quick.
Sure.
Let me talk real quick. Yeah, we'd all be making more money, so we could afford it. Okay. But, it's been abused. The whole process of overseas software has been just way out. It's been blown way out of proportion. It's been abused. It's taken hundreds of thousands of jobs from us, and that's a problem, okay? And what that does, when you send money overseas, it does hurt the middle class. The middle class, that's why we have so much homelessness now. Part of the reason, not the whole reason, but things like textile and fabrics and Walmart, that's a whole different game.
I hear you. Yeah, no, I've got nothing to argue with. See, I thought that was this is what I'm talking about. We're getting well thought out answers. It's not just like, we need to go to war against Russia or Putin is bad. Look, we're getting into nuanced policy. I love this exercise. This is great. You guys are doing really good. 800-288-9227. Garrett's not going to like this, but I'm squeezing in another call. Al in Dallas, you're on the James Show. What would you tell Trump in a 30-second elevator pitch, sir?
Make insurance companies cover functional medicine.
What's functional mean?
Functional means it works. It's not just based on looking at the symptom. It's a more holistic approach. Like Dr. Ardis you had on there, I followed him for years. He's right. I do use nicotine patches myself, not as often as I should. I should have them on every day. But things like that actually work. Things that actually cure diseases or get real therapeutic results are not covered by insurance.
Dude, I'm so glad you called. Hang on. You mind if I just back up a little bit? Why do you have nicotine patches?
I have Parkinson's disease.
And he was saying it helps dramatically. Have you gotten assistance from nicotine with your Parkinson's?
I believe so, yes. And also the surgeon who operated on, there's a surgery called DBS for Parkinson's.
I don't know that one.
It's a brain surgery. Parkinson's is in your brain. Your brain stops producing dopamine. And he said people that use nicotine, that was one of the things that reduces the likelihood that you'll ever have Parkinson's.
Al, I figured I'm a well-read guy, but I didn't hear any of this stuff until about a week and a half ago. Literally last Monday.
Well, see, if you were me and had Parkinson's disease, you'd be hearing a lot of it for years.
I know. There's so much I don't know. That's why I'm glad you called in. I appreciate that, Al in Dallas. Get the word out. That's amazing stuff. We're going to mess around and cure so much of this stuff just by goofing around on X and Facebook, as the FDA and Harvard Medical School has cured in 200 years. 800-288-9227 if you have what you would like to say on a 30-second elevator pitch to Donald Trump. Coming up next, there's a recent study shows that female-owned companies get just 2% of capital dollars. You're going to meet an entrepreneur who's trying to do something about that. Lady entrepreneurs, lady small business owners. The next segment's for you coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.